So we literally had stunts go and rig up on our set with wires, and actually had these characters being slammed around and moved.
Beware my purr, my tentacles bite. I'm Lorraine.
I might have fallen from space. I'm Langston.
Ooh, and this is Earth's Mightiest Show.
We're going to talk about all the most 90s stuff in the Marvel Universe.
Oh, and if we're going to talk 90s, let's talk about this. Higher, further, faster, baby. Marvel Studios' Captain Marvel is now available on digital HD and is coming to Blu-ray and DVD on June 11th. I'm obsessed.
Oh, listen, I can't wait for all the extras, the blooper reel, deleted scenes, all the stuff. I want more, please.
Oh my God, because I flirkin' love this movie, especially because of all the 90s goodness. I'm talking fashion, soundtrack, so good.
Oh, the settings. Come on, Blockbuster Video. Mwah.
Oh, a
Gourmet
delight.
choice.
Bringing me back. And we're going to be talking more about the 90s today, but I think first we should talk about the fact that I got to chat with visual effects supervisor Christopher Townsend all about creating Goose the Cat's cool secret skills, the Kree-Skrull battle, and Captain Marvel's big fall.
But spoiler warnings ahead if you have not seen this film, but for those of you who have, you are in for a treat. This is super cool. Let's watch.
Oh. I am here with visual effects supervisor Christopher Townsend. Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm very well. So everyone has seen the film by now. If not, what have you been doing with your life? Get it together, people. I want to talk about some of the visual effects that we can finally kind of discuss because it's coming home for home release. So first of all, I know we were all very excited to meet Goose the Cat. There's a lot more to Goose the Cat than maybe meets the eye, like a pocket universe full of tentacles or something like that.
Something like that, yes.
As you're starting to create this alien creature, where do you start?
I think as with most of these things, with sort of these characters, you go back to the comics. And you look at the comics and you look at poster art and you look at the art that's been done of what is the Flurkin? So it's this big, gooey, goopy, terrifically sized monster sort of thing that bursts out of this cat and then goes back inside again. And I think the fun part was trying to have that juxtaposition between the two.
And when you're bringing that to life, obviously the Flurkin will interact with the actors. How do you get him to interact with other characters and pull it all together?
It's all very carefully orchestrated. We have one particular scene where the elite fighting force, the Kree guards, are coming in and are being slammed around. So we literally had stunts go and rig up on our set with wires, and actually had these characters being slammed around and moved and flipped and flopped and things. All that stuff is very carefully planned out in our pre-visualization moment, in our previous time. And we figure out exactly how, what the moves need to be based on what the tentacles are going to do. So you sort of work backwards. That's where visual effects sort of fits in the middle, as it were.
So speaking of the Kree and the Skrulls, there is this large fight between the two of them, and there are a lot of characters there. How many characters are being brought in through visual effects, and how many are actually there?
We actually shot out, there's the scene called Torfa, on the planet Torfa, and we went out and we shot this at a quarry for a couple of weeks. Because of the complexity of, you're shooting outside, you're shooting at night, you're shooting in fog, which, there's never the same. All these sort of things made it incredibly difficult to actually do it, to pull it off. But I think what you see at the end is this sort of big, wide scope of things. There are maybe 40 or so real, actors in full makeup and prosthetic masks and helmets and costume and everything else running around in that sandy sort of quarry. And then we've added, easily just as many characters on top in digitally. It's really a mix between the sort of the traditional sort of stunt work and visual effects.
There is an epic scene at the end where Captain Marvel is falling. It is harrowing. How do you place that? Because obviously we can't drop Brie Larson.
Yeah, so a lot of what we do is you're trying to make the impossible possible, and also making it hopefully look real so that an audience is there and never questions it. And there are many things we could have tried. We could have tried skydiving, we could have tried these sort of wind tunnels, we could have tried her on wires, we could have tried all sorts of different things. One of the things we realized very quickly was that for what we needed for her in this very specific moment is to be able just to use a digital double of her. and be able to just close in on her face and be able to use her face and her expressions where necessary.
Well, and there's some other performance involved too, because there are some folks in green screen suits as well.
There are people there that are moving her around in the blue screen suits, and they're using that to try and puppeteer her to make it feel like she's floating. Because one of the problems is, obviously, when you're literally on wires, you're being supported in a cradle, or if you're on a backboard where you're just being supported, your legs tend to go down. So you need to sort of make it feel like someone is moving around in a more naturalistic way, as you would when falling. And we used a lot of that, not only as some of it is literally in the film, also a lot of it was just used as reference so that we can see how Bree's body moves in a particular way and how the costume moves in a particular way when she's doing a particular thing with her arms or legs. We also shot elements of just of her face. And so you can imagine we were, sitting in a studio with her sitting in a chair, and she's got the helmet on, and we'd say, "Okay, look scared. Okay, look over to your left. Look over to your right. Oh, now this is happening." And she was a real trooper, and amazing to watch a true professional as an actor being able to react to that and pretend that they're falling and panicking and looking.
But it's just right here.
And it's just here, and all we're capturing is just her face and her expressions. And we take all of that information, and then we would map that, we would project that onto a CG version of her. So what you see in the final film is generally a digital version of her falling, but with her performance mapped on, her face put onto the digital version of her.
So you also got to create a very interesting realm that we've never seen in the Marvel Universe. And it's hard to say, it's more of a consciousness, we'll say, the Supreme Intelligence. How did you build that interaction, world, brain space? What do you call it?
We call it the Supreme Intelligence Chamber. And I think it was a fascinating sort of bit of storytelling that we were trying to do in there. There's a lot of exposition that happens in that room. There's a lot of sort of definition of the characters that happen. But the idea was that the room exists in a reality. It's a virtual reality, but it should never look like virtual reality. It should always feel like a very real space. But we wanted to keep it a little bit surreal, and we went through many iterations from massive green hexagonal blocks to liquid worlds to almost Salvador Dali sort of art. We went through all sorts of things, but eventually ended up back at this very minimalist, sort of almost a white room and a clean room. And the idea being that you can almost, whatever you want to conjure in that room, you can make happen. There's a point in the movie where we twist and things get a bit more violent and aggressive, and then the room itself begins to collapse. And it was a really interesting challenge to try and figure out how to create something which would sort of satisfy both the serene and the violent all at once.
Well, it is beautiful and very serene, and I would very much like to have that in my home, not the latter half,
yes,
but the first part, very nice. Yes. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Oh, my pleasure. You guys be sure to watch Marvel Studios' Captain Marvel. It's available for digital download now.
So many visual effects. The brains behind these things are bigger than me.
It's mind-blowing. It really is mind-blowing. But you know what else is mind-blowing? I've got one bit of itty-bitty-kitty trivia for you guys.
I was waiting for the rest of that.
I think this is so cool. Ginger cats IRL in real life tend to be genetically male. So our first hint that Goose is a little bit different is that she is female.
Follow the clues.
Yeah, isn't that good?
You find all the knowledge. I like that. Yeah. Listen, there are so many more fun details from the comic books about Flurkins. Let's talk about those, right?
Yeah. Why don't we give these guys 4 Flurkin facts from the comic books?
Okay, number 1. How the tentacles work. So, in the comics, Flurkins contain these pocket dimensions that don't just help hold those pink tentacled maws. No, they can also carry anything up to the size of a whole dang universe. Simply put, Flurkins are bigger on the inside.
Well, in the comics, these pocket dimensions are actually very handy for teleportation and time travel if you don't mind getting covered in a bunch of pink goo. It's damp. It's a damp way to travel, but it's convenient. But also that makes sense of how a Flurkin could just end up on Earth. Yeah.
Also, hey, check this out. Flurkins are oviparous, is a word for you, which means like birds and reptiles, they lay eggs. Like lots of eggs, like a crazy amount of eggs.
Yeah, it's a lot of eggs. But don't say anything mean about these cute little fluffs because they actually have human level intelligence. So brains and beauty and tentacles.
And tentacles, watch out for the tentacles. So you learn something new every day. I love that. Well, hey, let's keep the fun rolling, right? With more 90s goodness, because it is Marvel's 8th anniversary, and this month we are celebrating, you guessed it, the 90s as we take a walk down memory lane with our friendly neighborhood toy hunter, Jordan Hemborough.
Ooh, toy-rific. Let's check it out.
Earth's Mightiest Show fans, what is up? I'm hanging out again with my good buddy, pop culture expert, Marvel toy hunter extraordinaire, Jordan Hemborough. Jordan, welcome back, my friend.
Thank you so much. I am happy to be here.
I am happy that you are here because as you can see in front of you are some toys from a wonderful decade that we are celebrating here for Marvel's 8th anniversary, the 90s, a decade that I grew up in. I was born in 1985.
Oh, you're in for a treat.
But I cannot wait.
Oh,
You ready?
you're in for a treat. These are sneaker snappers from the 1990s. This is what I love about these. Look, no, hear me out. They snapped on the front of your sneakers, and it was like really a wearable kind of cool piece of fashion that you would wear to tell everyone, I'm a Marvel fan.
I will tell you right now, I owned these sneaker
Oh,
snappers.
there you go, really?
Because my shoes would always come undone.
In the industry, what we essentially call something like this is it branches from the toy category into something we call lifestyle. And that means it basically you can use it every day.
I'm speechless because I owned these. These
are,
what?
These are yours.
What?
We talk about the 1990s and toys. You cannot not talk about the X-Men.
Whoa! What? I definitely own this Wolverine.
Definitely had Wolverine.
Definitely had this one.
These are classic X-Men from Toy Biz during the 1990s. These toys ruled the toy stores. I gotta take a second and talk about Rogue. And you
Yeah.
know what? They didn't realize how many females were actually playing with the toys. So what happened was Rogue and Storm were short packed. And what that meant is there was only 1 or 2 of them in every case of 12. Toy Biz started realizing, look, we've got to start making more Rogue. We have to start making more Storm. We have to start bringing these strong female superheroes to life into the toy industry, and they started making more and more of them.
Jordan, I almost don't want to move on
Yeah.
because this is my childhood is sitting right in front of me. But
I've got more.
Yes, I know. So let's do some more. Yeah.
I've got more. All right.
Get in. Are you serious?
It's the
Oh my-
Spider-Man animated series Daily Bugle playset.
This was on a Christmas list. Anyone who grew up in the 90s loved the Spider-Man
Animated
the animated series.
It was a great piece. It was expensive.
Yeah, that's I remember the big thing. My mom was like, no.
It was packed full of as many, factors as they can get into one
you look at this.
playset.
Like, you look at all the stuff that's on the back. You see all the characters.
The idea behind the playset was to actually sell more action figures because you created a play environment and you created a big play environment. Well, guess what? Now you got to fill it.
Yeah, right.
What are you going to fill it with? More toys.
Exactly. I never ever thought I would ever be this close to one of
To
these.
one.
My heart is always full when you come back because I'm taken back into my childhood. This is so great. Whoa!
All right.
The Raid cage.
This is one of my
Yes.
favorite toys from the 1990s. And essentially what it is you put Hulk inside this giant cage and he rages out and bursts through the cage and it's pandemonium and fun ensues for
I
everyone.
love when a toy says, "Hey, we're gonna give you this cage with the Hulk in it."
Yeah, I actually want to bring it
Wanna
out.
try to rage-
I want to have you
rage
rage out
the
with
cage?
it.
All right, let's
Okay,
try
so we're
it.
going to rage out with it. Rage! Oh, it's amazing!
This is
Hours of fun!
That
Hours of fun!
it's worth it. It's so worth it. Oh, the rage. Jordan, thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much. Now,
Oh, my pleasure.
if any of the fans out there are like me, they're gonna want to know more about where to find out more about you and all these great toys. Tell us more.
Absolutely. Okay, well, if you're interested in toys, you can find me on Twitter at Jordan Hemborough, Instagram at Jordan Hemborough, or if you feel so inclined, check me out at www.hollywoodheroes.com.
Check it out because I'm just gonna stand here and stare at these and weep into my hands for a couple of minutes because this is so great.
Oh, that was such a delight. I feel like I was transported to my childhood.
I was for sure. And hey, shout out to Jordan Hemborough who let me keep those sneaker stoppers.
Oh, really? Does this mean you're never going to learn to tie your shoes?
Not for lack of trying, no.
Oh.
But hey, also that Spider-Man Daily Bugle playset,
Also trying to steal it, huh?
It's too big. It wouldn't fit anywhere. I couldn't hide that.
You need a better coat.
I need a flirt.
Full circle. You guys, you know what? You tell us what you would do if you could spend a day with Goose the Cat, aka a Flurkin, and use the hashtag Earth's Mightiest Show.
We'll see you next time.
I'm Lorraine.
And I'm Langston.
And this is Marvel.
Your universe.
Thanks for watching Earth's Mightiest Show. If you like this, please like this, leave us a comment, and subscribe to the Marvel channel.
Or click the box over there to watch our last episode. Get your flirkin out of here, please.
Oh, I can't control this
Rub it
thing.
against my leg.